Let's go. 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 Let's go.
You know the frequency, yeah. You know the frequency. Come on. You know the frequency, yeah. You know the frequency.
I've been upgrading my frequency. I've been protecting my energy. I've been upgrading my frequency. No matter what, I protect my energy.
We off the grid.
Yes, we are here. Another episode of the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. I am your host, B. Carter.
Double D, Derek Demers.
And this is the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. What's going, Double D? It's just you and I today.
Yes, we miss Jasmine, Miss Joe. We can handle it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
And we got our program director. He has a mic in front of him. Edmund, please say something to the people.
Yes. Just want to give our condolences out to the Tavaz family. They lost an icon, Mr. Pooch Tavaz.
Pooch Tavaz. Too bad.
Yep.
My condolences to the family. From WMB1 Radio and the Frequency Live, our condolences. So how was your week, D?
It was busy. I had a busy week. Productive, but busy. Kind of chilled out a little bit this weekend and watched my Boston Celtics take game 1 today. Yes.
Now, let me tell you, do you think they're going to make the finals?
I think it's like win a championship or bust.
Yeah.
And I do think they're going to win the finals.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. With who?
I think it's going to be Denver.
I think it's being Denver. It should have been Denver in the Celtics last year.
I think so, too. So I think we're due for it.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of injuries in the East, so there's no excuses.
Yeah, they should get out of the East. The West is spectacular.
Yeah, it's tough.
Teams. Yeah, I'm so into basketball right now.
Yeah, right now, playoff basketball is good. But we have a great show coming up. This is an interesting show I think we're going to have. I actually posted on my Facebook saying that just the private conversations we had with our guests, that the information I'm just getting through the short conversations we were having,
yeah.
I'm learning, and I want to teach our community and teach them what's the options when it comes to our financial system. You know, I think the old school way of just saving your money in the bank is I want to say dead and gone, but you have other options to let your money make money for you.
Right.
What do you think?
I agree. April is Financial Literacy Month. You know, I feel like we always talk about mental health and physical health. Like we all work on that. I don't think we work on financial health enough.
Yes.
Right. As families or individuals. So I think this is something people can kind of grab some tidbits from and hopefully learn and move forward with that.
So we're gonna have a good guest, Paul Stone.
Paul Stone, he and I, our kids went to school together. Our younger boys went to school together. His oldest son and my daughter went to school together, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Michael's birthday today. See that? So is he 20? 21. So Michael, happy birthday, 21. So we've known each other for a few years, and, he's a supporter of the show, he and his wife. So, thought it'd be a good guest to have come on. So
yeah, good.
Excited.
Good. We don't have Jasmine here or Joe here. It's just me and Derek and our program director, Emmett Ray here. But we have a interesting show. So the first hour is going to be with Paul Stone. And then the second hour, me and Derek is going to have some discussions on different topics.
Looking forward to it.
Like a lot of different topics we put together. Just It's a different way of doing the show this week since it's me and Double D, and we're gonna hopefully Edmund will chime in his opinions. He can't be shy on the mic even though he's not in front of the camera.
Listen. Don't act up.
Again, I want everyone that's listening on Facebook, download the WMB1 Radio app where you can listen to the music and our conversations wherever you are, or log on to WMB1.com and you can listen there. Another announcement we're going to make: starting April 29th, WMB1 Radio shows are going to be streaming on the app and the website. So you can watch us on the website and on the app. That's a different aspect that we're just growing as a radio station.
So there'll be no more Facebook Live.
We'll still do Facebook Live, I'm assuming.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
All right. I don't know all the details yet.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to our CEO, but
I heard there was no more Facebook Live because they can watch it on the app instead.
Oh, okay. That's good.
That's what
So people out there, download the WMB1 radio app because you're gonna have a lot more options on the app and WMB1.com, and you can find out a lot of information about the shows. If you want to contact WMB1 or the Frequency Live, you can contact through there, and now you can be able to watch us on that app and
and
the
listen to the
website
music breaks.
and listen to the music break. And that's the one thing on Facebook, that we have music breaks on a Frequency Live, and we play great music. We really do. But we can't, because of copyright issues, we cannot play the music that we play on Facebook Live. But that's all going away, where now we're going to have, it's going to be exciting. We are growing as a radio station. So download the WMB1 radio app and log on to WMB1.com. So we're going to start off, we're going to take a music break, and we're going to bring in our guest, Paul Stone, and we're going to get into really like the logistics of finance. And this is, I'm so passionate about this because as I grown, I've learned that I was illiterate when it came to finance,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not taught in schools. It's not taught from my generation, from generations before in my community, because they just didn't know. So I want to try to pass some information on, and so we can get more financially literate to create our own generational wealth. So I can't wait for this conversation with Paul Stone. So it's only fit that I get in the money mindset, right?
Play it.
Got the money mindset, right? So I gotta play some OJs for the love of money. This is the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. We'll be right back after this music break with Paul Stone. This is For the Love of Money, the OJs.
Have I heard you say, don't let it, don't let it, don't let it, don't let it.
Yes, we are back. We are back. We are back. Hold on. Let me cut this off. Okay. We are back. You are back. Y'all listen to the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. I am your host, B. Carter.
Double D, Derek Demers here.
And we are here with our special guest, Paul Stone. Let me get this right. VP of Business Development for Genesis Wealth Advisory Group.
That's right.
No, all right.
Welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for I'm very excited of this interview. Like I said in our banter that only because as again I'm going to say as I got older I learned that there's a lot of things that we can learn about the financial system that in my community I was raised in we just didn't know.
Right.
You know, and I feel like we would be better off if we know this information. So I want to thank you for coming on our show and sharing this information.
I appreciate it.
So before I start any interview, I always have a special question outside of like what our interview is going to be about. So I'm going to ask you, if you had an opportunity to have one dinner with a person, dead or alive, who would that be?
That's a great question. Dead or alive, I'd probably say Jesus.
Jesus. You're the second person. Yeah.
Going right to the top.
Jesus.
Yeah, why not, right?
Jesus.
If I get to pick one, I might as well pick
Jesus.
the top one.
You picked the right one.
That's probably the number one answer.
Yeah.
Jesus. Wow. That says that is more of like a psychological question that I just came up with myself is like
Sure.
I think it tells however you answer that question will tell a lot about a person. So,
Yeah, it's if you only have one choice.
Yeah.
That's a tough choice to have.
I mean, it sounds like we're gonna get some good advice today.
Some good honest advice today.
That's right.
Okay, D, go ahead.
Well, I guess my first question would be for someone who, there's someone out there that doesn't do any investing or doesn't know any ABCs about what to do. Like, what is the first thing that they should do to get started?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think the first thing that someone needs to know is where their money is going on a day-to-day basis. So they have some kind of income coming in, presumably, and they're spending it on expenses. What are they spending it on? And that gives them a good idea of if they're spending it on their needs or if they're spending it on a bunch of wants.
Yep.
And that's kind of the way I separate the money is needs versus wants. There's things that we all need to have. We all need food. We all need shelter.
So like a budget,
A budget. You need to go over your budget and see how much you have and where it's going. Because if you don't know that, then you're not going to be able to figure out where I should be saving money and how to invest money because you have no idea how much you can invest.
Right.
If you don't know how much you're spending. You'd be surprised how many people don't know.
Right. I mean, so that is a good point. And I feel like, and I said this before, it's, I feel like we worry about our physical health. We worry about mental health, which is a big thing. We don't really concentrate on our financial health.
Right.
Right. Financial health, wealth. And when it comes to yourself, but it's then your kids. Like, I mean, there's so much involved where finances can be very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think an exercise I do with a lot of people is I give them a list of things to look at on where they should be, where they're spending their money, and it gives them categories to categorize their money. Whether it's food or transportation or work expenses, things like that. But it really lets them mark it down, and I like them to keep track over a month to 2 months and just really see where that money's going. And you'll quickly find out, am I spending too much money on my coffee every day?
Right.
And is that where it's going? That's a lot of extra money that people don't realize. And if you don't sit there and put pen to paper and really think about it, then you're not going to know. And if you don't know where your money's going, it's going to be really hard to know how to set goals and things like that coming forward.
Right.
If you have to have a starting block.
Okay.
So starting block is that's a good segue. when someone gets a bank account, all right, you have a checkings and a savings account.
Right.
Is there such thing as different types of saving accounts that you can get when you open a savings account? Is there different types?
Sure, there's a few different types, and the traditional is just what people used to call a passbook savings account. You know, when I was a kid, you used to get an actual book. You would go into the bank, and they would stamp your book, and they would say, "This is how much your balance is currently." That's kind of a traditional savings account.
Yes.
There's now there's high interest savings account where you can make a little bit more. There's usually a higher balance involved that you have to put in there, and it depends on your checking. There's obviously your checking account. That's your day-to-day spending. Typically, I don't recommend keeping a ton of money in your checking. Keep enough for your expenses and things like that, but because it doesn't earn interest inside your checking typically. But yeah, you do have a high interest savings account that you can get into and put money away there. Still not a huge amount, but it's better than what you're getting in a normal checking savings account rather.
Because I also there's also other options, like I don't know, because like say for an example, you see that American Express or Capital One has different savings accounts, and they're more online banking where they may offer maybe a highest interest rate because they're not dealing with different branches. It's just all dealing with online. Is that an option that people should look at?
Sure, they should certainly look at it, but they need to know all the details of the account.
Okay.
How long that interest rate is good for. Is it something that's going to last for a long time, or is it just an introductory rate that's 6 months long? Certain banks are longer than others, and you want to be aware of that when you're going into it. Don't go into it blindly and just leave it.
Just leave it. All right. So again, there's you got to find the fine print.
Correct.
Because I've seen advertisement with that, and I looked into it a little bit, and they and I wonder how can they offer a higher interest rate, and they explain that because they don't deal with branches, and they have to like fund these branches to work where they can offer highest interest rate. But I didn't really go into details. Maybe it's just like an introductory thing.
Yep, there's oftentimes it's an introductory rate, but that makes sense. And there's no brick and mortar, quote unquote, brick and mortar savings branches that you get to go into.
Yeah.
So they're not paying for rent, they're not paying for things like that. So they can offer a higher interest rate because they're not funding all of those. They don't have the expenses of those branches.
Okay.
So if there was someone so now they figured out how much what they're spending their money on, and they have a little bit of money left over, like what are the avenues that they should be taking? Like, because when I think of finances, like I start thinking about everything. I start thinking about like saving for your retirement, like saving for college funds for your kids. Like what is if someone only has a little bit of money left over at the end of the month, what direction should they go with it?
Right. That's a great question. It's unfortunately not black and white because everybody's got different goals.
Gotcha.
And they've got different time frames of those goals. Some people are saving for a house. Some people are saving for retirement. Some people want to save for education. Some people want to save for a car and different things. So you need to know what your time frame is on those goals, because that will determine where you want to put that money.
Gotcha.
Because certain accounts that we can get into in a little bit are retirement accounts. They're set aside for that time frame.
Right.
Makes it difficult to get to in the meantime.
Right.
If you need it to buy a house, or you need it to buy a car, or your furnace breaks in the house, something like that. So when I talk to clients, I like to see them set aside. I'd love to see them set aside 3 to 6 months of their living expenses in a savings account, liquid assets, just in case an emergency arises. So they lose their job. Like I said, the furnace breaks, your car dies, roof blows off, something, and you need liquid money. You need to actually get it. So I like to recommend putting 3 to 6 months of your living expenses away.
I mean, that's got to be difficult for people nowadays.
It absolutely is. But again, I think it comes down to budgeting.
Yep.
I talk to a lot of younger people as well. And when we go through that budgeting, they realize that they're spending a lot of money on things they don't necessarily need.
Right.
And if you're not paying attention, and I'm not saying you have to pay attention every time you spend money, but it certainly helps. But if you're going out and you're buying food, or you're going out to dinner 5 nights a week, that adds up. It adds up quick, right? So, that type of thing. And it's entertainment money rather than,
Right.
you know, how much could I save if I wanted to cook dinner at home an extra 2 nights,
Right.
you know, things like that.
And those are because I've actually done that.
Mhm.
Like come first of the year, which is only 3 months ago. You know, because New Year's is always that time of the year where
Sure.
you know physically fit, like all this stuff, and I'm like, yo, I go out to eat way too much. You know, both my kids are at college. I don't like to cook. I find myself eating out a lot. So it's like I'm staying home a lot more. You know, to save a couple more dollars and,
Yeah.
and what have you. So my point is, you can get in a habit of doing that. So like initially it might suck, or initially you might not want to do that, but I think it's easy to get yourself in a habit to save that money or to stay
Right.
home, and it becomes repetition.
Yep. What do they say? I think they say it takes 27 days to establish a habit.
Yeah,
So if you can do that for a month or so and get into it, then it becomes a lot easier. It becomes routine.
Yep.
So one thing I also hear what's the difference between, like, as far as using a credit card and a debit card?
Sure. I think that's a great question.
So explain what the benefits of what should you do,
Mhm.
and how should you handle that process, as far as the difference between the credit card and the debit card.
Sure. I think that's a question that a lot of people don't understand,
Mm.
actually. So a credit card is when you're using someone else's money.
Mhm.
You're using the bank's money. You're borrowing money and you're spending their money. So you have to pay it back with interest
Mhm.
unless you pay it back within the first 30 days.
Mhm.
So you have 30 days and you can pay off your credit card with no interest.
Mhm.
That's great. A debit card is your money. It is usually drawn on your checking account typically, but you can hook it up to your savings account as well. But it's your money. So if you don't have the money to spend, your debit card doesn't work. Whereas a credit card, you have a limit that you can
Mhm.
spend, but again, it's not your money.
Mhm.
So it's a matter of if you want to spend your money or someone else's money.
Mhm.
I'm not a huge fan of debt myself.
Mhm.
I think there is a purpose to a credit card, and I recommend using them to help build up your credit score
Mhm.
in case you want to buy a home or you need to buy a car. You get a better rate when you're going to borrow if you have good credit. But the best way to build up good credit is to spend a little bit on your credit card, pay it off. Spend a little bit and pay it off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I started, like, I wanted to get a car, and I was a person where if I can't afford it, I won't get it.
Mm.
Right. And I went into a bank, I had a good job, but I had no credit
Mm-hmm.
because I had no credit cards at the time. I was younger. Even everything I had, I was paying for if I had the money. So I'm saying this: is it good to have a credit card as long as you pay it off?
Mhm.
Because you have credit cards that have, like, for an example, you get 3% if you use it gas,
Yep.
Mm.
and it's almost like they're paying you the to use the credit
Sure.
card, as far as, but as long as you pay it off, you get money back. It's almost like, even if it's 40 extra bucks a month,
Mhm.
but it's something that you got to monitor.
Sure.
It's for it to be used in your benefit.
Absolutely. I think everything financial
Mhm.
comes down, and a lot of things in life come down to discipline.
Mhm.
So if you're going to use that card, you've got to be disciplined enough to pay it off.
Mhm.
And going through the exercise of buying cars, and trying to help my kids buy cars, and if they don't have credit, it's hard to get a good interest rate. So try to help them build their credit. It's a
Mhm.
good way to do that is, get them a small credit card with a very small balance and have them put something on it and pay it off every month.
Mhm.
That will build up and establish a line of credit. But they don't teach you this
Mhm.
growing up. So they don't teach you what a credit card and a debit card is growing up. And you can see that by when you go onto a college campus. If you have children, you go onto a college campus, all of a sudden all these credit cards are here.
Yeah.
And they're all great, trying to get you to sign up. Come get a free t-shirt and come
Yeah.
get free this, right? Free that.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get you to sign up for these credit cards because these kids don't necessarily know
Mhm.
what they're doing going into it. So they try to get you to use the credit cards.
I was one of those kids in college.
Yeah.
I was living large with a credit card and not
Yeah.
knowing. And it caught up to me.
Well, I think that's why they entice you with like the 3% or the gas points, because they realize 99% of the people are not going to pay it off after the end of the month.
Right.
And they're just going to make their money on interest. Any money that they give out, they're going to make tenfold on interest.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's why they offer it.
Yeah. I want to get into now that as far as building credit.
Mhm.
for an example, is there, because like I'm still trying to figure out how the credit score is up and down,
Right.
how how you can manipulate. I don't know if you can manipulate the system in itself to build your credit. Like for an example, like they say, don't pay your bill on the due date, pay on the statement date, or make multiple payments within that month, even if you cannot pay it off. It'll still help you. Like, is there a way to manipulate the system, or how should they handle that system to build their credit?
Sure. You want to try to pay at least. I can't really speak to the dates that you want to pay on.
Okay.
But I think you want to be consistent, and you don't want to miss payments. You don't want to be late.
Mhm.
That's the one thing you really don't want. So if you're late, that's a big mark on your credit. Other than that, your credit score is usually affected by how much debt you have outstanding,
Mm-hmm.
how much you owe,
Mm-hmm.
and how much based on how much you earn, and then how much, how good you are at paying it off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually what they judge you by,
Mm-hmm.
is how good you are at paying off. So, having a great credit score is terrific, but it also means you've borrowed enough money and you've paid it off.
Yeah.
So it means you've borrowed a lot of money over time.
Yeah.
So it is good to have a good credit score, because when you do need that loan, when you go buy a home or when you go buy a car, you can try to get a better rate.
Yes.
Right.
Mm.
So, for example, I do this exercise where, if you say, for example, you had a $10,000 credit card and you paid the minimum payment, right? So
Mhm.
that's all you pay. $10,000. It's going to take you over 28 years to pay off if you pay just the minimum payment.
That's wild.
Mm.
That is so wild.
Yeah.
And it'll cost you an additional over 14,000
On top of the 10.
on top of the 10.
Yeah.
So that's just paying the minimum. That's why you don't want to pay the minimum. You want to pay it off as much as you can.
As much as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to see your statement come in and it says, wow, I only owe $25.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
No.
that's as little as you can pay.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword, because people see that they have a credit card to use. They see the money on it that, oh, wait, I have, the $10,000 limit. Let's go buy this, and then you're paying every month, thousands of dollars more than what you should. And when you are late on a payment, your credit score goes down, but you also get hit with a $35, $40, late fee.
Right. And then oftentimes they jack up your interest rate at that point
Right,
as well.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So they are very good, but they are dangerous too, I feel.
Yeah. They're very valuable, but they could be very dangerous as well. Yeah. Definitely a double-edged sword.
What about like someone that doesn't have like a job with like a 401k or like something like that? Because I always think of like, I feel like I'm gonna live forever, so I want to like make sure that I'm good. Like
maybe you will.
Maybe I will.
Maybe you
Like
will.
when I retire or when I get older, like what should people concentrate on if they don't have a job with like a 401k? Is there like different opportunities for them?
Yeah, there are retirement accounts. There's individual retirement accounts. People know them as IRAs, individual retirement account. There's a couple different types. There's a Roth IRA and there's a traditional IRA, and those are just the difference is when you're paying taxes on the money.
Mm.
So a Roth IRA is you're paying taxes on the money now, and you put it away, it grows tax deferred, and it comes out tax free at the end. Once you hit at least 59 and a half years old. And then there's a traditional IRA. You're not taxed on it now. You get a tax break on it now, but you're taxed on everything. It's taxed at your ordinary income level when you take it out, when you retire. So again, 59 and a half is the year you should be focusing on at that point. That's as early as you should be able to take it out. There's certainly little things that you can do. There are exceptions to that rule that you can take it out at certain times, but that would be the goal.
Explain what a 401k is.
Sure. A 401k is a retirement plan sponsored by your company.
Mm-hmm.
So they set up a retirement plan. They allow you to put in part of your salary right into this account, and then you get to pick how it's invested. I recommend if you have a 401k and the company provides a match, which means sometimes the company will give you money if you put in money. So a lot of times it's if you put in 6% of your salary, the company will give you an additional 3%. So I recommend if you can afford to do the 6% or whatever the match is calling for, I recommend you do the match because it's free money at that point. The company's giving you an additional sum of money. You can't have it right now, but it goes into a retirement account. So it's if you have the 401k, I I recommend you put money in.
Now, is the 401k affected by the stock market?
Absolutely. Depending on how you invest, you get
Mhm.
to choose how you invest in your 401k. There is usually a select group of investment options that you have
Mhm.
inside the plan, and you get to pick and choose
Mm-hmm.
for yourself.
The 401k, like you can leave that for someone, like if you die,
You pick a beneficiary.
you have a beneficiary.
You have a
right?
beneficiary on it.
So there's no, like, because I'm all about, like, I'd rather like put more money in a retirement. Hopefully I'm there, but if I'm not, at least my kids will have it. Like, so I don't mind dumping. You know what I mean? Does
Right.
that make sense? Because it's not a waste.
Right. So you can pick an IRA and a 401k. You pick a beneficiary of who that money will go to if you happen to die before you spend it all.
Gotcha.
So what's the difference between an IRA and a 401k?
Sure. So the 401k is sponsored by your company, and the company puts it together. The company sets it up, and you are allowed to put it directly out of your paycheck into the account. An IRA is an individual account. You own it yourself. You're responsible for all the investing, and it's with yourself. So you can also put more money into a 401k than you can an IRA. The actual amount you can put away per year are higher in a 401k.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much.
So there's a 401k, there's a limit on the percentage of money you could put into a 401k.
It's
Am I following you right?
It is a number limit.
A number limit.
Yeah, depending on your age.
Okay.
Yep. And as with the IRA as well, there's a limit.
There's a limit.
Yep.
Okay.
Like per year.
Per year. Yep.
Per year.
Yeah. Yep. For the IRA in 2024 is $7,000 a year.
Okay.
Unless you're over 50, then you can put an additional $1,000, so you can be $8,000
a year.
Yeah, a year.
Okay. Now, when it gets to that age where you could take it out, and you say now that's when it gets taxed. Does the IRA gets taxed when you take it out, right?
If it's a traditional IRA, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So it gets taxed, and you said on the what on
at your income level, whatever your income.
What does that mean?
When you file taxes, you have an income tax bracket.
Yes.
Right. So whatever your income tax level is, that's how that IRA is taxed.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're going to tax you one way or another.
They're going to get
on the way in or the way out.
Right. So, for example, a Roth IRA is taxed now at your income level because you're not taking a tax deduction on it. You're putting the money away. It's taxable now.
Taxable now.
Right. So you're paying on your income now.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about should people be focusing on like short term or long term? Or does that go back to like what you're saying is like depending on what their goals are?
I think it goes back to depending on what their goals are, because everybody seems to have different goals. So it depends on where you are in your life. If you already have your home and you already have education funded for your children, if that's a goal, then maybe you're focusing on retirement, and maybe retirement's 20 years out. So that's kind of a longer term goal. But if you're younger and you haven't bought a home and you need cars, or you've got other big expenses coming up that you haven't planned for, that means it's more of a shorter term, because if you're going to buy a house in the next 3 years or 2 years, that's a very short term goal.
Right. So speaking of houses, right? So I do work with like a lot of like first time home buyers, and like a lot of them have a hard time saving money for a down payment.
Sure.
And I have found this before inflation. Okay. So like in the last couple of years, few years, like inflation went crazy. People have a hard time saving. Is there stuff that they can do? Does this go back to like your budgeting thing? What can they do to try to save, $7,000 to $10,000, $12,000 so they can buy a home and start paying rent?
Yeah, I think that's going to come down to budgeting, because there's no place that you can stick that money in such a short period of time, and you're not going to have time to make a ton of interest
in like the stock market or something, right?
So you're not going to be able to invest it for a long period. So you need to be saving that money, and you really want it to be safe at that point too. You don't want to take a risk with that money. That if I'm going to need money and I have $20,000 for a home saved up, you don't want to take a risk with that money and potentially have it lose money in the stock market either. So because the stock market is risky,
right?
There's risk involved.
There's risk, but I mean, you tell me. I also heard like over time, it's a win. Like
it's not guaranteed.
Not
potentially,
guaranteed, yeah.
So on average, yes. On average,
right?
It goes up.
Okay.
Yes.
But I do feel like. So what about like we talk about like investing?
Mm-hmm.
So is a home an investment?
Depends on who you ask. Actually, there's
right, because
a couple of schools of thought, right? So Most people consider their home to be their biggest asset,
Mhm.
right? Because it usually has a lot of equity involved, and over time it continues to grow equity wise. So I consider it an asset. There are people out there that consider it an expense.
Right. Like,
It-
I read those guys. I see them on like Instagram, and I read their shit, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, 'cause
Right.
I feel like it's an asset. You build an equity after 30 years. Like, you potentially have a mortgage free and clear.
Correct.
You're able to borrow on it to potentially like
Mhm.
pay for your kids' schooling or what have you, right?
Sure.
So I think like home ownership I always push for home ownership. So that's why I feel like, even someone that's like, say 30 or 40, 50, whatever, you know, I do feel like home ownership is like the way to go. That's why I'm trying to get people to like save to try to like get your foot in the door.
Right.
No, is my perspective on that. I think it's having a home is both. I think it's an asset and an expense. I think because and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not like very know all the information when it comes to how it works with the bank. But when you first get into a loan, most of the money you're paying is going towards the interest in the first few years,
Correct.
which that is an expense.
Mhm.
And then on the back half of the loan, you're creating equity. So it's almost both. Am I wrong saying that?
Well, most if you want to take it, you can take it. But, so you are paying mostly in interest at the beginning of the loan,
Mhm.
but there is some portion that is going into the actual
Yes.
into the asset. You're paying down the principal a little
Mhm.
bit, so then you are building up some equity,
Okay.
and hopefully you've put down a good enough down payment that
Yeah.
at least you have equity in the home to begin with,
To begin with.
right? So you'd like to get some equity in the home right away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, plus like the way like the market goes, you can have equity just by the way the market. Right?
Correct.
Because we've seen houses like almost double in the
Double,
last few
yeah.
years just because, and they haven't paid a lot on their mortgage. It just so happens like the market went crazy.
Crazy.
Now they have equity in their house.
Right. The housing market, as we saw in 2008, could also go the other way.
Could go the other way.
Could go the other
Right,
way.
right.
So you never know. But I consider your home an asset because it is building equity.
Yeah.
Over time. You can use it like Derek said. You could actually use some of the equity in the home, but it is going to increase over time in theory, right? It
Mhm.
should. And then if you decide to downsize or something like that for retirement, and you buy a less expensive home, now you've got a lump sum of money that you can use.
Mhm.
So I consider a home to be an asset.
We have a question from Paula Jean. I'm not saying her name.
Paula Jean.
Paula Jean. Can you discuss the benefits of annuity?
Annuity.
An annuity. What is an annuity?
So an annuity is it's an insurance product.
Mm-hmm.
Not life insurance, but it's more towards income.
Mm.
So an annuity is designed to give you a lifetime income or whatever period you set up. You can set it up to pay you for your life. You can set it up to pay for 10 years, things like that. But it's looking to, you put in some money over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be invested. Typically, depending on the type of annuity, and I don't want to get too deep into this because there are a number of types of annuities.
Mm-hmm.
The insurance company oftentimes will give you a certain interest rate, and then they'll pay out when you decide to take your money for retirement. They have their place. I think they could be beneficial for some people. They do have, if you're looking for a set payment, that's what, in my opinion, I think an annuity is pretty good for. If you need to get a certain amount of money as an income, and you put it, and then you can back in and figure out how much to put in.
So this is like when someone retires.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a retirement product.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot of it's out of your hand. A lot of the insurance company is doing.
Mm.
So the insurance company takes the risk. The insurance company will then pay out.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers the question, but it's pretty specific because there are a number of types of annuities, and each company has their own annuities.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many variations. You would have to take a look at each individual kind of product to tell her exactly what. It was her, Paula, to tell Paula exactly what she's looking for.
Okay. Now that's a good segue into life insurance. Now you hear a lot of things about life insurance where they say life insurance is for your life, not for death. Obviously the mindset is like we get life insurance to pay for your burial and those basic things. Is life insurance a form of an investment into yourself? I don't know. speak on that if you can.
Sure.
I know you could. We spoke on it off air briefly. That there's only a certain amount of things you can speak on, but
Yeah, I think so. Life insurance as a product, I think, has a great benefit to it. I think it's there, and I like to tell people, you buy life insurance because you love someone or you love something, because life insurance often pays out at your death, right? So you're trying to maybe cover your debts. You're trying to cover, like you said, the burial. But for example, if you're younger and you have children, and maybe you want to make sure your income is replaced for the next 20, 30 years, and your spouse will be okay and your kids will be okay, it's a great time to have life insurance and a great reason to have life insurance. But I think you have to keep in mind that the death benefit is primary in life insurance. And that's what it's there for.
Yeah, that's the main priority.
That's the main priority, in my opinion, of life insurance.
Yeah.
You think?
Well, I think it's I think it's one of those things where sometimes people have to pick and choose, right? When we're talking about money.
Yep.
And to just go back to budgeting, people have X amount of money. Do I want life insurance? I feel like it's people need to get educated on this, because a lot of times it's beneficial that they do have it.
Right.
So let me ask you something. Someone that doesn't, is there people that people can talk to? Because I'm big on some people go to the gym to they go to a trainer. Help me get big. Help me work out. What should I do? I don't know what to do. Help me. Where can people go to learn stuff about finances to get a path going forward?
Sure. I think there are plenty of financial advisors to talk to. There's some great people out there. I think, I do it with my clients all the time, and I'm big on the planning aspect of financial planning. And because, again, we've talked tonight about goals, we've talked about timeframes, we've talked about budgeting. All of that stuff goes into this plan and hopefully gets you to where you want to be down the road. But I think, you can find a good financial advisor that is willing to sit down and talk to you, help you develop your plan, help you develop your goals. If you're not sure, a lot of clients don't know what their goals should be. So, what we do is we kind of help them focus based on what their personal values are, morals, and the way they think, and the way they feel, because money is a very emotional thing. And a lot of people are afraid of money. And a lot of people are afraid of the knowledge of money, and afraid they're going to make the wrong decision. By having an advisor, oftentimes the advisor gets to take the emotion out of your planning and just give you an unbiased, this is how you are talking. This is how your goals look. This is how long your money will last in retirement. This is how financial plan looks. And they try to give you an unbiased opinion. We take the emotion out of it.
Yeah. So someone that, maybe recently has kids, or maybe they have a job that does have a 401k. Don't you think they should sit with someone and have a path, get a path going forward, what they should do?
I do. I think the earlier you get involved with someone and talk about your plan and talk about your goals. If you do have kids, and what's your plan for that? What do you want to do? Do you want to put them through school? Some parents don't want to pay for. If they think, I had to pay for my education, my kids should have some skin in the game.
Right.
Some parents and that's all the power to them.
Right.
So that working with an advisor, then you get that idea of what is important to the client and what is not.
And then you can focus on something else.
Then you can focus. Yeah. You could shift your energy somewhere else. And I think, a lot of people put a lot of thought into education for their kids, but I think sometimes at their own expense.
Right.
So, you need to focus on yourself, because, you only get one shot at retirement. So I think it's pretty important you take care of yourself too. So you've got competing goals.
Right.
So that's where someone can really help you focus in on what you should do.
I think that's great advice, because you're right. You're going to retire. And if you have nothing to retire on because you spent it on, say, your kids or what have you, now you're kind of, in a jam.
It's a tough spot to be in.
And this is another good segue. I feel like financial literacy should be taught in schools. I think that, I know when you're young, if you're in your teenage years or you're in your 20s, you're not thinking of retirement.
Right.
You're just starting to live life. Right. And you're not thinking of having a financial plan. especially when you're just getting that first check that you might think is $400 is a lot of money because
Sure.
and you're not thinking. What advice as a young person would you give to just a basic advice to help them prepare for what is another, and then I can't even say the word
Annuity.
inevitable, which is retirement. Like, how should they? What mindset? What they should do just to something can do to start that mindset in to that point to get to that point.
Sure. I think the earlier you start saving for something like that, the better.
Mhm.
Like you said, a younger person just starting their first job sees this paycheck and they're all excited.
Mhm.
Let's go out and let's have a good time and let's start saving for other things or spending it on going out to dinner and because they've all of a sudden got this money that they've never had before.
Mhm.
But the earlier you start saving, the easier it is to get to retirement.
Mhm.
And oftentimes I'll go over this example. So I'm going to speak in some numbers for a second. So if you're, for example, you're 21 years old and you put away $50 a week,
Mhm.
$200 a month until you're 30 years old. Okay. So you're putting away about $22,000 and you don't put away anything after that. You wait till you're 65. You could have somewhere in the area of $2.3 million saved up.
Wow.
Right.
So $50 a week.
To 30 to your 30. So 21 to 30.
Right.
So how would that end up being that much money?
So compound interest,
Okay.
in my opinion, is one of the greatest things ever. So that means you invest money and it starts to grow and you add more money to it and it starts to grow on top of, you now get growth on the growth. And then you get more interest on top of the interest again. And you keep putting in and you keep putting in.
That's just money sitting there.
That's just money sitting there and adding to it. So it's not just sitting there. You've invested it. You've chosen how to invest it.
Yeah.
If you've got an advisor, they'll help you
Okay.
do all of that. But the difference being, I'm not advising stopping at age 30. I'm advising keep putting money in.
Yeah.
However, if you don't start until you're age 30 and you put money away until you're 65, you put away about $91,000 at that point. Instead of the $22,000 or so that you've put away. You put away $91,000 from 30 to 65. You only end up with about $1.3 million. Just because of the time, the extra 9 years of compounding interest.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So the earlier you start, the easier it is.
Wow.
So Rachel and Jason, if you're out there listening, $50 a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$50 a week.
$50 a week.
So I think when you say like, if you save like 22,000 from 21 to 30, 22,000, people are like, oh my God, how did I do that? But it's when you say it's only $50 a week,
$7 a day.
that's nothing.
That's going to Starbucks.
Yeah.
Damn.
That still falls back to your budgeting stuff.
Right. That might not even cover Starbucks.
Right. Yeah. Maybe.
No, not Starbucks.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there should be classes in whatever grade of school to teach kids? And I know you mentioned that you have conversation with kids and trying to teach them and realizing that maybe the smartest person in the class or in the room don't even know anything about a checking account.
Right.
Speak on that.
Yeah, I think it's very important. I speak to I've done a few classes for younger individuals and their parents are concerned that they don't understand anything about finance, and they shouldn't. No one's taught them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing to be ashamed of that you don't know. If no one's taught you something, then you shouldn't know it.
You only know what you know.
That's right. And then, so I have taught these classes and these children come in, young adults, and they don't know the difference between a checking account and a savings account. They don't know the difference between a debit card and a credit card. They don't know how to physically write out a check. So that is something we should teach. I think there should, and I do believe there are some schools that actually do provide personal finance courses, and I think that's fantastic. But I think they should learn compound interest and how that can actually benefit you. But compound interest is, like we talked about the credit cards, compound interest is just as bad. It's a double-edged sword. So if you don't pay off your credit card, that interest compounds as well.
Yes.
And it compounds in the reverse.
Right.
So now the more and more and more you owe.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's a great thing. It's a double-edged sword. If you use it for your benefit, then it could really help you. But I think these kids should learn this stuff in school. I think just the basics, at least.
Yeah. I'll try to play devil advocate on something. Do you feel there should be any changes in our financial system? Sometimes I argue that in our capitalist system, we, how can I say? Because I don't want to get, um, is there holes in our capitalist system that you think that needs to be changed, or is just a matter of people just knowing the information to take advantage of it?
I think knowledge is big.
Mm-hmm.
I think capitalism, when done right, has worked. And I think so. I think it's a tough question. That's a tough question. That's a tough question. So I do think that capitalism works, and I do think if people are taught the value of working hard and doing the right things and saving for themselves and taking care of themselves and trying to benefit, if they can benefit themselves, they can usually benefit others as well.
Yes.
So I think, when you take care of yourself, it allows you the time, it allows you hopefully the resources to help others. So I think that's important. I think capitalism can help you do that. Look at all the small business owners in this area. They're all capitalists. They're starting and they're putting their own sweat equity and financial equity into these businesses. And look what they do. A lot of times they turn around and they help the neighborhoods.
True.
So I think that's a good thing. That's what I think.
Third.
I think I'm got all my questions answered over here.
So we covered a lot.
We did
cover a lot, and you explained everything very well. What is something that you would want personally people to know as far as the financial system, financial advisory? Like what would you want them to know right off the bat?
I think one of the biggest things I think that stops people from knowing a lot about finance is intimidation. I think they're intimidated by the system. I think they think it's not for them. I think they don't know enough, and they don't want to sound unintelligent, and they're afraid of asking questions.
Yes.
That happens a lot. So I think the more you get involved, the more you are willing to learn. And if you want to do research on your own, or if you want to reach out to a financial advisor, we're happy to help. We're always happy to help and have conversations with people. And, maybe we can't help you directly, but we can at least point you in the right direction. And I think the more questions you ask and the more you're willing to learn and the more you're willing to be involved, the better off you'll be in the long run.
So to end it this way, someone's thinking about coming to see you to be advised.
Yep.
Right. And, some people may think, I know in my community we may think that, all right, I had right off the bat, when I walked out the door, I gotta pay him to even talk to him for how much time, because obviously you're providing the service that you got to pay for.
Sure.
So going to see a financial advisor or choosing a financial advisor, what is the process? How does that work? When that person walks through the door, what can they expect? If you want to speak on the way you handle your business.
Yeah, and I think I will speak just to my own business, because everybody's practice is different.
Okay.
So if someone decides to call us and talk to us, I hope they do their due diligence on us, make sure they're happy with us, make sure they're satisfied with what they're seeing. They come in and they sit down and they have a nice conversation with us. We start to figure out what their goals are, what their values are, what they want to accomplish from the meeting. What do they want out of it? Where are they trying to get to? And once that happens, then we decide where to go from there. So there's, for us to sit and have a conversation with us, there's no upfront cost to sit and talk to me. Then we figure out the scope of the engagement after that initial meeting, and we figure out if it's something that the client wants to continue with. If it's not, then that's perfectly fine. Then hopefully we had a nice conversation and you met someone that you thought was worthwhile. Maybe you learned a couple things and got some questions answered.
Okay.
And if they do feel comfortable with you, then you just go from there, whether it's a financial plan or investing,
or we help them invest.
Yep.
And what we do is, we then meet with our clients on a regular basis, and we discuss with them make sure they're still on track, make
Mhm.
sure their goals are still working for them, make sure the financial plan's still working for them, and all of that. And we try to meet and see that, make sure you're happy with the service.
Yeah.
So when you develop a financial plan for a client, is it all right? Is it the plan to put this money here, put this money here, or save it here, or or get an IRA here, get a 401? Like, is that what you're doing?
Yeah. So if you were to come in and you said, Paul, this is my goals, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, and first we would probably do the budgeting, see where you're at, see what accounts you currently have, see how they're working for you or not working for you, and then we would establish where to help you put them, and if necessary, we would help you open accounts, or we would help you manage the money.
Manage the money and see if there's any better options for
Correct.
you.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
And there's not always.
Not always, yeah. But you probably have more of the information than the average person that really.
I hope.
Yeah. So where can our listeners and watchers can find you if they want to come see you and have that conversation or hire you to be one of your clients?
Sure. So we have a website, genesisadvisors.com. Our office is in Braintree, but we're willing to come out and travel as well. So I tend to meet a lot of clients outside of the office.
Outside the office.
Yep.
Awesome.
So wherever they want to meet is fine. I don't know if you've put up any kind of contact information or not, but I mean,
we will.
Certainly,
Yeah, we
I
will.
can
We
certainly
will.
get you the contact information.
Yeah, get us
if
contact
you want.
Can reach out to us too, and we can get it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because what we'll do is we'll repost this video with
Yep.
the contact information so people will know where to find you and when they watch the video again. Because a lot of people, they'll go on Facebook Live and watch the video throughout the week.
Right.
So and whoever's listening, they'll get the information also.
Great.
All right, I want to thank you again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
A great conversation. I've learned a lot. I want to thank Paul Stowe for coming on and giving some education on the financial system and how to save money and you got to focus on retirement. I mean, yeah, we can have a good time, go to the club and everything that, but that adds up. That adds up. That VIP is not worth it.
You want to go to the club when you're 65 too, right?
Yeah. So I want to thank Paul Stone for coming on. We appreciate you. And we'll definitely put all your information and try to help you get more clients. All right, we're gonna take another music break, and I got to keep the money move going on. Money will get you a good retirement. Money can get you in the club, but money can't buy you love. This is Ralph Tresvant. Money can't buy you love. We'll be right back after this. You'll listen to the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio.
But money can't buy you love.
Yes, yes, yes. That was Ralph Tresvant. Money can't buy you love. It could buy you retirement. It could buy you the bottles in the club. It could buy you some Starbucks, but it can't buy you love. This is the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. I'm your host, B. Carter.
Double D.
D, that was a good interview.
Yes, yes. Paul was great.
It was great.
A lot of knowledge.
A lot of knowledge. He was so articulate and explained things very well. It was easy to follow.
Right.
You know, and to sit down with him and I feel like that's a kind of a person that you can trust.
Yeah.
With your money.
Yeah.
To give you good advice.
100% agree.
Yeah.
And I think he's right. I think a lot of people are intimidated to go sit with like an advisor or something. Maybe they feel they don't have enough money or whatever. But I think if you have any money, if you have any kind of like any job where you're bringing in money and then you start having kids, I think you should talk to someone.
Yeah.
What's the path I should go down? Where should I be saving? Should I do a college thing? Should I do a savings for my kid retirement fund? You know what I mean? So,
yeah. It's like, again, I said it during the interview, is a lot of people don't think about retirement. And people think about now, what I'm going to do now. But you're going to get to a point where you're going to get at an age where you can't work as fast, as much as you would like to earn that money.
Right.
And you got to develop at least a nest egg for you to live and enjoy your golden years.
Right.
That's very important.
Right.
You know, this is the evolution of life. And you got to prepare yourself for that. You know, we live in an era where a lot of companies not, offering pensions. You know, me and Emin are very lucky that we work for a company that's offering pensions. So some people have to develop their own pension.
Right.
And maybe those are the people. What's that?
That's what I'm saying. You speak to someone so you can try to get there too.
Yeah. So, it's very important because we all are going to get old and we all need to prepare ourselves so we can live. I think, if we probably did the numbers, a lot of the homeless people are older people because maybe they didn't prepare themselves for getting old.
Right.
And it's just a sad state, but it is what it is. And you have options out there to prepare you for that. Maybe it takes for you not to have your Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks 2 days out of the week to reach that $50 a week,
right?
To get that 1.3 million or 2.3 million during your golden years, that nest egg. So
that's bananas.
Yeah,
that is great. Like like you said, the 3 to 6 month nest egg. Because to your point, some people are like one furnace breaking away from being homeless because they can't afford, you know what I mean? So it's like, so that having a little nest egg where you can like fix your furnace or do whatever, car breaks down, you don't go on like a financial you know what I'm saying?
You think what people spend money on if it's sneakers. I mean, I had a conversation with someone where someone to pay $400 on a pair of shoes,
right?
Or a pair of sneakers,
or bags,
bags,
yeah.
But now you got people, getting BBLs. Yeah. How much it costs to get lashes? How much it costs to get Botox? And you're getting all this stuff, but are you investing in when it's gonna matter? Where it's gonna matter? Where even Botox is not gonna help you.
Right. That's right.
I'm like,
I mean, I think people need to be happy too, and sometimes someone doing their nails is gonna make them feel good or whatever. So, I mean, I get that.
I get that.
Spend a little bit of money.
Yeah.
But sometimes I see these kids drive down the street like with rims and whatever, and I'm saying to myself, dude, there's your down payment for a house.
Yeah, right there.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You know what I mean? So, but they don't know. Like, and even like Paul said, from 21 to 30. If you invest $50 a week from 21 to 30, you'll have 2.3 million.
2.3.
Dude, you're driving down the street, you're putting $50 away from 21 to 30. You're spending it on.
Just say $50. What he's saying is say $50 a week from 21 to 30, and then leave it in the bank or however you want to invest that money with that compound interest. Yep. By the time you are retired, where you don't have to work no more, you have $2.3 million.
2.3 million.
That. So you have 2.3 million where you don't need to work anymore.
Right.
And that's a lot of money.
Right.
So I mean, he was very informative, and we're gonna. I'm gonna get his information, and I want to repost his Facebook video throughout in the middle of the week, and with his information, again, people could watch the interview again and see what we're talking about, and then contact him.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, we have a different format of our show today because we don't have our other two co-hosts here, and this is very interesting, and we're gonna have Emma Ray maybe even
chime
in his opinion. He has a mic in front of him. Use it. What I'm saying, my brother.
Yo,
There he is.
He's shy.
Let's get into something fun. Okay, I've been seeing a lot of talk on social media, and I've been seeing a lot of women talk on this about the difference between obviously the NBA, the women's NBA draft was last week.
Yes.
And Caitlin Clark, we all know her influence that she has on women basketball, coming out of college, out of Iowa, and she got drafted by the Indiana Fever. And once she got drafted, the Indiana Fever, they showed how much she's gonna make in, I think it was a 4 or 5 year contract, which adds up to $300,000. For the whole contract.
Yeah.
All right. I think it was like 68, 76, whatever, however the numbers panned out, compared to, a rookie going to NBA probably making around $3 million, $4 million a year. And people was talking about that's not right because Caitlin is a superstar. But they don't understand there's revenue.
Yes.
Is like, explain it.
This argument drives me crazy because I hear it. I mean, I don't say I hear it mostly from women, but I'm all about equal rights and women, men equal, 100%. However, this argument drives me crazy because the women's basketball doesn't bring revenue in yet. Well, they don't bring a lot of revenue in yet. Matter of fact, the NBA like subsidizes some of the money for the WNBA and their pay and stuff like that. So when they came up with those salaries, it was based on what the WNBA brings in. It's like any business, right? Any business, what the money that they bring in, they can spend. You know what I mean? Or pay people.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, it just comes down to like basic math. Why their pay is like that. I just hope because Caitlin Clark, say she is like what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird was to the NBA, or Michael Jordan, or what have you, right? I hope she eventually gets paid to that level. But I think it's going to end up going that way because she's going to bring in the eyeballs, the people watching the TV, selling the jerseys, going to the games. That's what it's all about.
Is like, I think that when you have females comment, because I saw a lot of females comment on it. And I could tell you're a new basketball fan.
Yeah.
You're not an old basketball fan to understand, like, if you're talking about Caitlin Clark, what compared to what these players are making now, let's talk about what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were making compared to what these players are making now.
Right.
And and you got guys that literally don't play at all are making more than what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were making.
Yeah, bench players.
Yeah.
Because it's all about like the revenue.
I
mean, it's all about the revenue.
Exactly. So you had Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. We all know who Magic Johnson and Larry Bird is. And in the beginning of the NBA career, their finals game, which is our epic battles, were on tape delay.
Right.
Okay. Because they were so good and the games are so good, it eventually became live basketball, which created more revenue, more interest. And then obviously they were getting compensated. For case in point, what Magic Johnson was making is the first time they made $1 million a year.
You're right.
Magic Johnson's contract.
Right.
Now they're making like $50 million a year.
Yeah, it's
all right.
It's bananas.
So it's all about progression. I think Caitlin Clark is going to be the Michael Jordan, potentially be the Michael Jordan as far as the business aspect of the WNBA. I think this generation, this draft class, you're going to talk about this draft class, is going to like catapult the WNBA to a different status. And I think Caitlin Clark is a potentially could be that Michael Jordan player where it just brings it to another level where the women players are making more into the $1 million a year type of contracts, and it already shows where literally 95% of her games are in prime time on national television
Yeah,
because who she is.
going next year. Yeah, already next year. She hasn't even played a game yet.
Yes.
They're scheduled. They already scheduled it.
Yeah.
She is going to be that player. She's that good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a combination of, I think, like, yeah, this is my thinking. Years past, there's always been, like, a player or two that's outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now there's like a bunch of them. Like this draft class is now there's like a bunch of them coming out at once. I just think that they're all gonna, she's probably leading the way. Don't get me wrong, but I think they're all gonna like take the WNBA to another level.
Because now you're starting to develop storylines, and it all starts like, and I think that's where the men's basketball are losing in the NBA because these players are not staying in college, creating storylines that can catapult them into the NBA. Because sports is a male soap opera. That's basically what it comes down to. That's going to create the storyline. So if you're having, like, for an example, I use Larry Bird and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. They played in college. They were the two best players in college before they went to NBA. Then they both get drafted to historic franchises, and now they're playing. That storyline catapulted them into the NBA, which helped catapult the product of the NBA.
Right.
Then you have Michael Jordan, who he had the storyline. He's a freshman where he hit the last shot of the national championship, and then he takes over college basketball by storm, where he's such a dominant player. Then he comes in, and people want to know, who is this guy? He's coming to a league that's probably more center dominated, and he's just a guy. Back in the day, guys didn't dominate that like they used to now, and he was the golden boy. He ended up and he catapulted the NBA. So the WNBA is very young. It's a very young league.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to go through the process of growing pains to get to the level where they're getting paid like the men. It's not a female thing or a male thing.
Completely agree.
It's all about building the business.
Right.
Like when people talk about, well, she's getting paid this and guys are getting paid this. Yeah, but it's a newer business.
Right.
And
I think once they realize, like, say she's bringing in the eyeballs on the TV, and people are already like booking Mohegan Sun to go watch her game when she comes from Indiana or whatever, what have you. So I think it's only a matter of time. She's going to take it. Just before we change this, one thing about like Bird and Magic, there were other storylines like, L.A. Lakers, West Coast, East Coast, black, white. You know what I mean? So they there was such a dynamic. with them
it was a perfect storm
from college and every, so that was like amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and Magic Johnson's personality versus Larry Bird's personality. Magic Johnson was L.A. They just got drafted to the right. Larry Bird's a hard worker and blue collar. What is Boston's like. So it's the basketball gods were speaking that. And I think where even with Caitlin, she's gonna be all right. She's gonna have she has a Nike deal is worth $3-4 million, and her jersey sales, she's gonna get residuals from that, and you could tell by her influence because I listened to a podcast and they were talking about nosebleed seats for the games that she's playing is $300. That's nosebleed seats.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see that revenue. Then that means that's in the stadium, that's going to affect into the TV deals where, people are not going to want to pay that money to go pay that game, but they're going to want to watch it. And those TVs are going to pay the TV deals, going to pay the league because they know that there's a high demand.
Just like the NBA.
Just like the NBA.
That's all their contracts they're making is from like the TV deals.
Yes.
Like the people that go watch the games and the popcorn that they buy, whatever, that's like a small percentage. It's the TV deals that gives them the bazillion dollars a year.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna find out. I think could be the same thing in due time.
Mm-hmm. As a male, I like watching the female game. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Outside of this Caitlin Clark, I'll watch a female game now because I love the way they play.
More team oriented.
Yeah, more team oriented. You play together. You're just playing it the right way.
Right.
Yeah, I enjoy it, and in the female game has better storylines. I don't like a lot of how the younger players are playing. You could tell that the ratings of the men's national championship versus the female national championship is because there's no storylines there because guys are not staying and not necessarily they're not staying in school. They're not even staying on the team they're literally going into the transfer portal,
transfer. Yeah,
and it's like, well, you can't even follow your favorite player, never mind your favorite team,
right.
and that affects the product, So that's why what makes girls basketball. I'm saying female girls. I don't know what term to use.
Yeah, I mean,
but you know what
I'm fine with it.
Any topics? What's the
Yeah,
next
so
topic?
we'll keep it on basketball real quick.
Yep.
The guy got banned from the NBA for betting.
Dante Porter, I think is his name.
Yeah, John Tay Porter.
Dante Porter.
So, I mean, this dude, I think it was like $22,000 he won,
He won, yeah.
and now he's giving up like $1 million or something. I mean, he's not
he was making like $3 million a year,
Yeah.
2.9 or something like
yeah,
that.
because that's even like the lower NBA,
The lower
guys,
end, yeah.
still making $2 or $3 million a year.
Yeah.
So this dude gave up $2 or $3 million a year because he wanted to gamble $20,000. Hey, he should have sat in for Paul. Okay, like financial literacy. Okay,
yo, for real, like that's stupid.
So I think it's a drug, like the right. Like we talked about this because we talked about betting, right?
Yeah.
Sports betting online because it's at your fingertips. It's so easy. I think it's a drug for people.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a high. Why
Yeah.
else? Why else would you know it's illegal?
yeah,
You could get in trouble for this. Why would you do it for $20,000?
yeah,
Unless you had like you're crazy.
yeah. And it's funny. I think he comes from a middle class family. His brother is Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, I just found that out. That's wild.
Michael Porter Jr. He won the NBA championship with the Denver Nuggets
Last year.
Yep, and his brother makes big money. He just signed at like a multi-million-dollar.
His brother is a fantastic player.
Yeah,
but coming out of college, he got hurt his senior year, I believe.
Yeah,
because he was supposed to be potential.
Yeah, his back
number one draft.
Yeah, he was good.
Number one draft pick, almost like and I think he hurt his back.
Yeah,
very early on in his season.
Yeah,
season. This dude didn't even play all senior season, and they were still contemplating what would he be like because he was that good.
He was that
good. Wasn't. I don't know what he was picked, but he's now feeling better and doing very well.
Very, very well.
Yeah.
And where Dante is how you say his name?
Jonte,
something like that. His road to the NBA was very, through the G League and was not drafted, and you now you get on that level and you throw it all away for to win $22,000 over a. And here's the thing: he bet on his own team to lose.
Yeah, so he like what do they call it when these guys bet like parlays?
Parlays,
right.
Yeah.
So there's a parlay like John Tay will score less than 10 points or whatever.
Yeah.
Now this dude is like scores 8 points or whatever, and like at halftime he's like, "Oh, I'm not feeling well," and doesn't play, so that he wouldn't go over 10 points, like stupid stuff like that. I mean, this dude.
I don't understand it. I mean, but again, it's part of that money is a rule of all evil. You're getting paid $3 million a year, but you still want.
It's like the high though.
It is.
It's not even. I don't think he was chasing like the money. More like the high.
The high
or
that dopamine hit.
He might have someone that he owed him,
maybe.
And was like, "Dude, tell you know what I'm saying." There could be another storyline that we don't know.
Yeah, because they said that it's an ongoing investigation. He just got. But it's a life, like it's an indefinitely banned. Indefinitely. It's not like a few years or whatever. It's indefinitely.
Yeah, indefinitely. Do you know that there's a third brother?
There is.
So this is weird because this all just happened with this guy within this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Not Michael Porter, but the guy that got banned. There's another brother that just got 6 years in jail because he killed someone while he was driving.
Wow.
And he just got sentenced this same week. That this guy got banned. Can you imagine that?
Poor Michael Porter Jr., where he's getting ready to do a playoff run to defend their title,
right?
And these are questions he's gonna have to answer in a distraction.
The shit that's on his mind.
Yeah.
One brother's going to jail for 6 months, and this guy got banned from the NBA.
It's always a family, man.
All right, what's the next subject?
What's the next? Let me look at
that drug. Let's do that drug.
There is Ozempic drug. Derek, can you explain what Ozempic is? That Ozempic drug that
Can I explain it?
Yeah, can you explain it? But like
it's a weight loss drug, right?
Yeah, that females are using. I think it's most majority females using it.
So
do men use it?
I don't know if men use it, but I know some female personally that are using it.
Okay.
I think it's women are all about weight loss, and I get it. and I think it's like a quick, like you lose weight quick.
Yeah.
And and that's what we are. We're at a drive-through society where
Drive through. That's a great way of saying it.
let's lose weight real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know how healthy it is because I think there's some side effects. Like they're talking like depression now.
Yeah.
They're talking anxiety, depression, and even suicidal thoughts by being on this. So that's what some of the stuff that I'm reading.
And that is crazy. What they're characterizing it as an Ozempic personality.
Right. Anger issues, depression. But I have a friend that she's like, yo, I just lost 10 pounds. Like quickly, like, you know what I mean? It's like, so I think that's like the high for these.
I think I listened to a podcast how they were talking about where you're losing all this weight, but you're still looking in the mirror and you still think you're fat. This is what the drug is doing, and I'm making a joke of it where you could tell who's on it. Should I say that?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
No, I'm not gonna say that because it might insult somebody or people that's on it. But they lose a lot of weight very fast. But can that be really healthy?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, to me, my only concern would be is it going to be healthy for you like long term, and you're going to put the weight like right back? Because there's always like these like fad diets, and it doesn't really last. I don't know if this is that or not. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's a diabetes drug that help people that need to lose weight to get the diabetes at a normal level. Yep. And it's hard to do if you're overweight. But now they're using it for, people are using it where you really don't need it. You're just getting it to lose 10 to 20 pounds.
I mean, I think your insurance covers it.
Does it?
I think it does.
For that, even if it's cosmetic, you're using it for?
I mean, I feel like
that's a money grab, right?
I feel like my friend said, yo, this is covered by my insurance. Because I said, how expensive is this? And she said, my insurance covers it. So, I mean.
So is that a doctor's, because obviously you need a prescription.
I think so.
So is that a moral ethics code that's being violated?
I mean, I don't know.
When you're giving it to people that probably really don't need to use it. Hopefully it doesn't backfire where you start. It's unhealthy
with this depression, right, and anxiety and stuff like that. Yeah, that would be the backfire. But I think if you go in there and be like, "Yo, I'm overweight," like I'm because I think they can classify obesity like rather quickly.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, by like the standards of your height or whatever. So if they say that, then potentially you can get on that to lose the weight.
You
know. So
I hope it doesn't affect people.
Yeah, we keep an eye on it. Like, I just, I wish people always well, and I get women want to like lose weight and look good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you got to do it at a.
But we live in a society where we're just scrolling and comparing.
Right. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Facebook,
Yeah, it is. So, but keep on watching us on Facebook, All right, we're gonna take a music break. I'm gonna come back with a few more topics that we have in the docket. And again, anyone that's listening on Facebook, watching us on Facebook Live, download the WMB1 radio app or log on to WMB1.com because coming into the next month, you're going to only be able to watch us on the website and in the app streaming, and you can listen to the music and the conversations. There's no copyright infringement, like it is on Facebook Live. But we're going to go into a music break and we'll be right back. I'm going to play some Justin Timberlake, Selfish. You're listening to the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. We'll be right back after this. Yes, we are back. We are back. We are back. Y'all listen to the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. I'm your host, B. Carter.
I'm Double D, Derek Demers.
And Edmund, tell them let them know you're back there, yo.
I am the program director for the show, Ed Ray.
Oh, you trying to be that sexy. You trying to get sexy. All right, speaking of sexy, actually, we want to get into let's get into something. We'll get into you want to get into the Brandeis thing?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's get into that.
So I was reading something newspaper today that Brandeis University, all 11 women basketball players are going to walk away if the coach comes back.
Now, what's their problem with the coach?
So I think she was, they said like some racial tension there. The way she like spoke to the girls. So she came under fire, and she didn't coach this past year. So she went on like not a probation, but a review or something, right? And then so they went this whole year with an assistant coach or another coach, and then their findings, Brandeis University findings were, okay, we didn't find anything to like fire her, like we didn't find anything to get rid of her, so she's gonna come back this coming year. And then the girl's like, yo, if she comes back, we're all as a team not coming back.
So that would they have a problem with her coaching style, or how she?
I think it's like not the coaching style so much as like they said like some racial things, or the way she speaks to them, or what have you.
Oh, okay.
So this woman has been coaching for over 30 years at Brandeis. So it's not like she's kind of new at it. She's been doing it forever. I'm just wondering if it's like the stuff that she could get away with years ago.
Yeah.
As opposed to how you can coach now.
So
it is different.
Saying, yeah. So we're talking about, are these kids soft?
It's possible. I mean, I think we are a softer society.
Yep.
In general, and I think, any coach that has coached long term will tell you that, like, you could berate your players, or you can get in your players' face, or what have you. I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong, but the way you can't do shit now.
Yeah.
Like Bobby Knight could never survive now because he would like throw chairs at his players, and he would, he thought it was trying to get the most out of his players. But it's like there are certain ways and styles that you can coach back then that you can't do now. So I don't know if that's it or not, but I think it's just when you get 11 girls to say, yo, we're not coming back.
There's something there.
Now what's going to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And if it's something if her language is offensive, okay, I understand. If it's her tough coaching,
right?
If it's in your face yelling, I mean, that's her coaching style,
right?
I'll tell a story. Someone that told me about it was part of a local team that I will not name, and I will not name the person that told me this story about. He's coaching. It was a basketball team, one of these local high school teams, and he's coaching, and he is getting in this kid's. He's a junior, and he's getting into his ass about because they're doing a drill or a play.
Yep.
I think if I can remember, and he wasn't doing it correctly. So again, you're getting on these kids. You give them that tough. Right. Let's go. Let's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like really get the mindset. How serious? Let's go. Let's get it. Yelling at the kid, and after he's yelling at him, not at the point where like disrespectfully. He just yelling at him like, let's go, and he went on after he said what he said, however he said it, he went on to the next person, continued coaching. He turns around and the kid's in the corner crying.
Wow.
Crying.
Yeah.
Because you got yelled at.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not like it was a freshman. Well, if he was a young child, or someone who plays, in a youth league or something like that. This is a junior in high school who's going to be a senior, about to go in the real world, and you can't handle a little somebody yelling at you.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen in the real world?
Yeah. I mean, that is like a clear case to me of like people being like softer.
Yeah.
Like, because when my father used to beat my ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So a coach yelling at me, didn't scare me.
Yeah.
Like, Coach Baptiste at UMass Dartmouth yelling, or okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if these kids are getting that at home, like that discipline at home. Where so when you go out in the real world, or your coach and yells at you or disciplines you, it's nothing.
Yeah. It's. I could go back to football days in New Bedford High School, Coach Joe Worth.
Mm.
You want to see some people make you cry.
Right.
You know, he made people cry, but they didn't quit. They went in the huddle and crying, and they were like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try harder.
Yeah.
You know, and he toughened his players up, and that's why all his teams were good. You know, sometimes you need a little bit of embarrassment because you want to have some self accountability. Like, I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna go harder because I don't want to make myself look any less than. You know, I don't want to be embarrassed. You know, it's that self motivation, or create that self motivation. And it comes from tough coaching. You know, it maybe make you run faster, or practice more, or it could have that little fear of doing something wrong.
Right.
Is going to give you motivation to practice more, to get better, so you won't do it wrong.
Right. And succeed in life. Like that's what I think about these coaches. I feel like these coaches, they're not always coaching to get the kid to the major leagues or the NBA. They're coaching to make these kids better and have a good team, but also like to help them throughout life. Right. That kid that you're talking about probably needs the service. He needs to go to the service. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the one thing that'll probably straighten him up.
Yeah, where he's not allowed to go in a corner and cry,
right.
because you're gonna be held accountable if you have no choice. Mommy's not there.
Yeah.
And that's why I love sports, because sports can prepare you for life. Sports can help you, learn how to work with someone else.
Yeah, work with a team.
Yeah, learn how to respect authority and take direction from authority.
Right.
You know, and even though you may not like it, you got to learn how to adjust it. That's what you could be in a job and you don't like the boss. You know, you can't quit.
Right.
You know, you're gonna have to just get through it into whatever you need to get through. You know, and adjust when you need to get just. So if it's something if she's saying offensive stuff and putting them down, okay, I get it. But if it's just yelling and tough coaching that they cannot handle.
Yeah. So one last thing for me is, and again, I don't know this for certain, but this woman has been coaching for 30 years. Like, so like in my mind, you would think, like, say if she was like racist, or if she, like, wouldn't that already come out?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they interview, like, because through the course of the year that she wasn't working or wasn't coaching, they did a review on her or whatever. And this woman did have other players, former players, come forward and on the coach's behalf.
Oh.
To say, hey, I didn't sense that.
Yeah.
I don't want the girls to feel this way. If they feel that way, they shouldn't. But I didn't never sense that.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but we live in a totally different generation,
right?
And what we deem as tough love, they may seem as just creating mental issues, which is not.
Right.
But you do gotta respect their opinion. A therapist said, he goes, your feelings are not fact. Your feelings are real,
right?
But your feelings are not fact. So we will acknowledge our feelings, but your feelings are not going to dictate the facts of what it really is,
right?
So I think that a lot of these young people are making their feelings fact because this is how I feel. This is what really happened. No, that's not how it works.
Right?
That's not how it works. So
So let's stay on feelings for 1 second.
Yeah, okay, get on it.
Let's stay on feelings. I read something that when Bill Belichick interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons, the ownership called Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
And Kraft kind of threw Belichick under the bus, saying, yo, you shouldn't trust him. You shouldn't hire him. I mean, this dude, they coached together for 30 years or 20 years, whatever it was. You won 6 Super Bowls together. I don't know if you need to do that. Like, even if you're hurt that he left, or I don't know who left, or what, even at the end, if it wasn't a great relationship, I mean, I think you just like walk away and, hey, Belichick won 6 Super Bowls. Pick him if you want. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For him to say, yo, you shouldn't hire him. I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't have. I don't like.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean,
if he was being truthful, I felt like he could have. And I guess it is probably fair to say, like, Kraft and the owner of the Falcons are close.
Yeah.
So there's a connection there.
Yeah.
But I still might have been like, hey, he won 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah. I know.
I think it comes down to loyalty.
What's that? Go on your mic.
Well, I think it comes down to loyalty. Who's he really loyal to? The Atlanta Falcons owner?
His friend, or
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Or Belichick.
Maybe that's what it is, because
Yeah.
y'all my business partner. Belichick is gone.
But Belichick helped win 6 Super Bowls and made his franchise, go from,
no question. But does he believe that? Does he believe that it was more Belichick or was it more Brady? But again, I think that Dynasty program they have on Apple TV.
Yeah.
It's what I'm hearing is that it's a lot about people throwing Belichick under the bus.
Yeah. This probably goes back to what we were just talking about at Brandeis with the coaching style.
Yeah.
I think Belichick probably has a coaching style that people
hurts feelings,
rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
And he just don't give a
give a shit.
Yeah.
But that's football too. So I don't know. That's tough. Or maybe how the Atlanta Falcons owner perceived what Kraft said, expecting him to be more complimentary, and Kraft wasn't as complimentary, so he took it as a diss to Belichick, knowing what Belichick contributed to his organization.
Yeah.
I don't know, it seems like the breakup was messy.
Yeah.
And I guess
even the breakup with Brady and like Belichick.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of was messy too. So
yeah,
I guess breakups aren't going to be great.
I think when Belichick is all well and done, I can't wait for his book. Because if all these people talking now, Belichick's gonna write his book,
right?
And he's gonna tell his side of the story. Right now he probably still wants to coach, so he's gonna keep his mouth shut. But once his career's over, because everybody's telling all these stories, everybody's talking, even Brady's talking, everybody's talking, but the one person is not talking yet is Belichick.
Right.
There's another side, and remember, there's the 3 sides: is your side, his side, and the truth.
Right.
And when his story comes out, then we're gonna have that. All right, what's really going on?
Right.
All right. So yeah, I want to get into Neo. Neo was caught. Man, this guy right here, yo. Hold on.
I mean, he's living his life.
He's
off the hook.
Oh, yo, hey, I'm not hating though. I'm not hating. I wanna find something. Hold on, spare with me.
He's single, right?
He is single. He was married. Got divorced. 1 second. Got divorced, and because he cheated. Okay. Hold on 1 second. I had audio. I should have.
So is he with two women? At the
Yeah.
same
So
time?
speak on it while I get.
I know. So I was hoping this isn't your wheelhouse, bro, not mine. Okay.
Why is it my wheelhouse? I don't live this lifestyle. I'm too insecure for that shit. I'll tell you that right now.
Listen, I had to look up who Neo was.
Okay? Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So Neo was caught walking down hand in hand with 2 women. And the question, right now he's in what kind of type of relationship?
That is wild.
And literally he's walking around the women and he's talking about how he's dating these 2 women. And all right, so listen to this. Hold on. I want to so I'm gonna set up the scene.
Okay.
So he is walking. Now he has one girl on one hand, another girl on another hand, and he is talking about his relationships with these 2 women at the same time. He's not 2 women separate. He's dating these women at the same time, and they're aware of each other because he's holding one gun on the left hand, one's on the right hand. And this is what he has to say.
I'm not gonna let it ruin my day. Okay. At the end of the day, the people I love know I love them and they love me.
Why don't you write songs about dating multiple women? You're always just like, gassing up one lady at a time when you're writing music.
I mean, the songs come out depending on the situation and the circumstance.
Okay.
This is the first time that I've been in a relationship or situation like this, so.
And how is it?
Say that no songs about it will come to pass. They'll come.
I love it.
I don't force it when it comes to music. It happens naturally. It happens organically.
You recommend the situation you're in now?
No.
Why?
I don't recommend anything to anybody. What works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. So
Girls,
find out what works for you.
Can I ask your girls, would you want to get married with 2 women and Neo? Something you'd be open to?
So that hold on. So that was him being questioned on the street with these 2 girls in his hand, left hand and right hand. That's wild.
That is crazy. So I mean, now I have to ask: like, are these 2 girls like are they bisexual? Where there's like the 3 of them potentially, or are they sharing this dude?
They're sharing this dude like he's.
So
only like someone with status and money can get away with this, and literally this walk. And now is like, now think about it. If I'm these girls' daddy, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
like no self-esteem.
Yeah,
These
like,
girls have no self-esteem.
Like, you're sharing a man.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I said, unless it's like the girls are kind of hooking up too, so like the threesome type of a thing, and I could,
maybe that's what it is, that they like women too. So it
so
it fits all.
There's something for everyone.
Yeah, it comes together,
But if it's just you're gonna share this dude, you have no self-esteem. Bottom line.
That's how you see it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a good way of seeing it. It's not a bad way.
You don't have morals too.
Yeah.
What's that?
You don't have morals too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
morally
right. I'm too insecure to do that, man.
Yeah.
Even if it's another girl,
because
you might like the girl better than me.
That is true, right?
So I don't know. It's wild. They're open about it. They're right there as he's speaking about it, asking questions, and the girls asking them questions also. And hey, to each his own. I mean, we live in I think we're living in a very open sexual society that a lot of things that back in the day wasn't accepted or was taboo now it's just open and it seems common. And I think we're playing with fire with that.
Yeah. So it goes back to like the social media thing.
Yeah.
And these young kids, the generation, they see that shit.
Yeah.
They like glorify it.
They glorify it.
That's not the answer, man.
No, it's not the answer because I don't see that. That's not a long that never lasts.
Right.
Like even those polyamorous relationship is fun, but you don't. There's not those relationships don't last.
Yeah.
So yeah. So last but not least, we got something wild that happened in front of the courthouse where Trump is on trial for. A person lit themselves on fire in front of the courthouse where Trump is going through his hearings or his trial. His trial, not hearings. He going through his trial in protest where what I read right is he's saying that Biden and Trump are collaborating for a coup. And to get the attention, he lit himself on fire. This happened in New York in front of the courthouse.
I mean, I don't know what kind of dumbass you are. Like to pour gas on you and light a match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I hear protesting and trying to like do right. Like, what are you thinking?
That's
wild.
He died. He died.
Yeah.
He died?
He died. Because initially, I read that today. He died because he caught on fire. He ended up going to the hospital.
Yeah.
He ended up dying.
Yeah.
Like, in the name of what?
Like, what?
What did you accomplish?
What did you accomplish?
That's what I said. You know what? Not to change the subject, but most of these protests that goes on in our country, no matter what it is, really you get nothing out of it.
Nothing out of it.
Nothing. Nothing positive.
Nothing.
Everything.
If you're doing an extreme protest,
yes, there's nothing really comes out of it.
No, it's not. It's like because people are looking at you. You crazy,
right?
When you're stopping traffic and when you're vandalizing stuff and it's like, what are you doing? Because now you're creating yourself the enemy. You're the focus. I don't even care what you're protesting because you're messing up my neighborhood or you're making me late for work or you killed yourself.
Right.
That's a mental issue.
Yeah, that's. I mean, to light yourself on fire.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean,
okay,
we can end it there.
Yeah, we can end it there. We're gonna come back with our final thoughts, and we're gonna take one more music break and come with our final thoughts of this week's show. I want to play a song now, Derek. I know you don't know anything about this, but maybe you do. I don't know. There's a war of there's battles going on between in hip hop as far as war words, lyricism, with Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar. And Kendrick Lamar started it. J. Cole ended up responding, but then later apologized.
Yep.
Right now, Drake responded, and this is the Drake I like, the battle Drake. You know, and I want to play the song that he released a couple of days ago. It's called Push Ups, and it's going at Kendrick. Little diss on J. Cole too.
Yeah.
But it's coming at Kendrick. So we'll be back with the final thoughts. This is you're listening to the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. Don't forget, download the WMB1 Radio app or log on to WMB1.com where you can listen to the conversations and the music on the Frequency Live show here. This is Push Up from Drake. We'll be right back after this. Yes, 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 yeah. We are back. We are back. Y'all listening to the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. I am your host, B. Cotta,
I'm Double D, Director Murs.
and this is the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio.
Is this the end? I gotta know. I gotta know. I gotta know. Is this the end?
Yes, it's the end of the Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. We have our final thoughts. Double D, man, it was a good show. You and I,
yeah.
first time just
Yeah.
doing the show together.
Yeah, it was different. No, I
Yeah.
had, Jasmine or Joe here.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it. I thought Paul was a great guest, very informative for our guest. And I liked going just back and forth with you and I about different subjects.
Yeah.
Giving a different opinion or something. So that was cool too.
Yeah, it's a good format. Good format. Hey, man, what do you have to say? What's your final thoughts of the show, man?
My final thoughts for you guys did an awesome job. It was a nice flow. You know what I mean? It just went like more relaxed, laid back. You know what I mean? It just smooth flow.
Appreciate
the
that.
whole show.
Yeah, yeah. So shout out to Edmund Ray. Thanks for working all the things behind the scenes.
Can I just say one more thing to the crowd out there?
Yeah.
If there's anyone want to speak on a certain subject, reach out. I do a news segment. Sometimes I do even the stuff that we spoke about tonight was kind of trending news stuff that was out there in the past week or so. Any subject that you guys want to talk about or have us discuss, let us know.
Yeah. And anyone that has any interest of coming on the show, if you have a product or something you're involved in, your business or something that you feel like will be, informative and influential in the community, reach out to us, and we get scheduled to come on the show as a guest, and and allow you to use our platform to bring light to it.
Or maybe they know someone too.
Or maybe someone.
Maybe they know a business in town that check these guys out. We can do our due diligence. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely. So yes, don't forget. I'm keep on stressing this out. Download the WMB1 Radio app and log on to WMB1.com for any information about the app, because we have a new app coming out. So the people that have downloaded it, I'm not sure how it's working. You may have to download a newer app, but we'll push that. We'll push that on social media and advertise that, because you're going to be able to watch us on the app and watch us on the website also, where we're streaming, where you can listen to the music and the conversation at the same time as you watch us, versus on Facebook where we have to take a music break and we cannot play the music because of copyright. But we are growing. This is a great show, D.
Great show.
Great guest. I wanted to shout out and say thank you to Paul Stone for his informative speaking on
a very important subject.
Yeah, very important
subject.
Very important topic. So
for everybody.
So yes, for everybody. So we will repost this video and with his information in the middle of the week, and so you know how to reach out to him, and hopefully he could gain more clients through the Frequency Live WMB1 Radio.
Awesome.
All right. I want to end it with this. This past weekend, there was a big concert in Providence, Rhode Island, that my younger brother did go to, and he had up front VIP.
Nice.
In backstage, actually was involved with the production of the show. It was a Kizomba show, and anybody knows Nelson Freitas. He is a big Kizomba artist, real big, and I heard the show was a very successful show. So shout out to Sterling Sounds and Nelson Freitas. Great show. I think that this music needs to be more polarizing and put out there more. And hopefully we could try to get some artists like Nelson Freitas or people involved in that on WMB1 Radio to highlight this type of music, because there's a lot of people that's involved in that kind of music, that likes this kind of music, because we have a big community here, which is the Cape Verdean community. So I want to play one of his songs. It's a very popular song. So I want to thank all our listeners.
Thank you.
I want to thank all our watchers. And download the WMB1 Radio app and log on to WMB.com for any information. It will have a lot of information about the app and about shows. So Keep it locked. Keep following us. This song is called "Rebound Chick" from Nelson Freitas. Y'all listen to Frequency Live on WMB1 Radio. Have a good night and good week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Good night.
See you guys.